Hey guys, I'm coming to you again from the Poke Closet today. So this is going to be another podcast style video. You don't need to feel like you need to watch. I'm not going to have any fancy visuals or anything on the screen. I'm just going to be talking at you. Today I want to talk about warnings for using live selling platforms for buying on things like Whatnot, Drip, TikTok, Fanatics Live. There's a variety of other platforms, but today I want to just basically give some words of caution and share a little bit of my experience using some of those platforms. This is not going to be a video bashing live selling. I do think there's some value to it. I'm going to talk about both the pros and cons today, but I do want to caution people who might be discovering it for the first time, or maybe you've been buying on live selling platforms for a while now, or maybe you've been thinking about it. This is a great video for you. So stay tuned. Let's jump right into it. So little disclosure, I have both bought and sold on Whatnot. I've bought a variety of things on Whatnot. I've only done 3 streams selling on Whatnot, and I've kind of decided to probably take a break from that for a while. Maybe I'll do another video sometime about the selling side. I was doing like a rip and ship type thing. We're going to talk a little bit about rip and ships today. I've used Drip, but I've never bought anything on Drip. I've bought some stuff on Fanatics Live because if you are a PSA member, like if you get your cards graded, PSA gives you like some Fanatics credits basically that you can use. And so I use those to buy some things essentially. Most platforms sell a variety of different collectibles or items like Whatnot. You can even buy stuff like sneakers and dresses and random other stuff, all kinds of stuff on there. But today I'm specifically just going to talk about Pokemon cards, whether you're buying singles or whether you're buying sealed Pokemon cards. I'm going to talk about that today. So we're going to stick to that. So let's start with just number one. What are the valid reasons to buy on a live selling platform? Let's just jump into that. I think number one is that it's interactive. I think nowadays we crave like more social interaction than we often get. We all live online all the time. And a lot of times we're kind of separated and distanced from people that have similar interests to us. So I think there's a real draw there to jump in, have a chat. You can interact with the host. You can interact with other people while you're buying something that you're all interested in. You all have a shared interest. There's a little bit of a feeling of community there. I also think too, if you connect with a certain seller, you may have kind of a feeling of like, hey, it's almost like me supporting my local store versus supporting the big behemoth Walmart. I think similarly, some people have that kind of feeling with live selling where they have certain sellers that they like to follow, they like to buy from, and they want to support those people. Also, I think number two, video marketing an item is a great way to market something. And for a lot of people, they want to be able to see, multiple directions on a video on the screen of the item before they buy it. So that can be really appealing, especially in the card world where, if you're buying off of eBay, it's really easy for sellers to post pictures that make the card look better than it is. On something like Whatnot or Drip or whatever, you can ask the seller, hey, can I see the back? Hey, is there a scratch right there? Like you can ask them questions and they'll interact with you. And that's really valuable, I think. Rip and ships. Man, there's a lot of people that have said like, why in the world would you pay for somebody else to open a Pokemon pack for you? Like that just doesn't make sense. Like, why would you do that? Don't you want to open the pack yourself? I gotta be honest. I felt that way before I bought my first packs on a rip and ship. And honestly, it's kind of fun. I was surprised how much fun it is to have somebody else open the packs. And I think, again, part of that is it's interactive. You're in there with a bunch of other people who are also excited and interested in the same thing you are. For me, I don't know a lot of people in my real life that are into this stuff, right? Like most of the people that I can connect with are online that are into collecting Pokemon cards. There are some local people for sure, but not a ton, right? So it is something that's interactive. You're all opening packs together is kind of what it feels like. And then also too, like, sometimes I participate in rip and ships with one of my favorite YouTubers. I like to follow Nostalgianomics for a lot of his investing advice. And he does some rip and ships like 2-3 times a week. And once in a while, I like to go in there, buy a few packs. I feel like I'm kind of supporting him. I'm also getting to interact with him a little bit and with some other people. and, maybe pull something cool, So rip and ships, I think, are kind of their own way to enjoy the hobby, and I do think a lot of people have come to enjoy them. I was surprised how fun they can be. As a seller, when I sold on Whatnot 3 times, I did rip and ships all 3 times. And I had a blast as the seller pulling cards for other people, getting to interact, getting to get excited for them. That was fun for me. Hoping that I would pull something really cool for them. On the flip side, though, if you're not pulling something great for the person, that feels really terrible too. So I usually tried to throw in something, not a great card, but at least some sort of hit for them, so that they weren't getting like nothing, because it just feels bad to have them get nothing. Also, if you're buying old packs, like let's say you really want to rip, even just something as simple as like an XY Evolutions, a booster box of XY Evolutions, I think is over $900 now. Booster packs are like $25 or something around there. If you buy one randomly off TCG Player, there's maybe some question in your head, like, was this thing resealed potentially? Like, was it weighed? I don't know. Like some of those older packs, it's kind of questionable where you can weigh them. The XY era, definitely, it seems like you probably could weigh them. I don't know. It's just questionable. Whereas if you jump on a rip and ship and you watch the seller take a fresh box of XY Evolutions and he cuts it open and he breaks it out and he pulls out the packs, it's like, you're buying that pack. You can see it on stream. You have a greater confidence that you're buying an older pack that came from a fresh box, hasn't been resealed, hasn't been tampered with, hasn't been weighed. So honestly, if you're wanting to open an old pack, rip and ships can be a really great way to do that. Also, going to a vendor, like a card show, if they do some sort of rip and ship or box break, can be really cool. But a lot of times they don't do box breaks. They just sell single packs, and you don't necessarily know where the pack came from. Now, what about the negatives? So those are some positives. Those are some reasons why you might want to do it. But what about the negatives? There are some negatives and some big ones. Number one, let's talk about singles. It's very rare that I have not overpaid when I've bought a single on Whatnot, which is why, honestly, I don't really buy a lot of singles anymore there. I just don't feel like it's a great place for me. Most of the time, you're going to have these high-speed auctions that last anywhere from a few seconds to like 20, 30 seconds, but a lot of times they're only a few seconds. It's really fast. They set that timer for 5 or 7 seconds. If somebody else bids, maybe it adds a couple seconds or 3 seconds, but it's very quick. You have to really know the price of that card in order to be bidding a fair value for it. And a lot of times people don't know on the spot what that thing's really worth. They might have a rough idea, but a lot of buyers, I don't think, have any idea. So it's very easy to overpay because you're having to make a quick decision. It's also easy to buy something that you don't really need or that you don't really want because you're buying quickly, right? And you're making the decision quickly. You're making a snap decision about something, a collectible you're buying, instead of it being something that you've thought about and you've researched and you've decided you want to buy. Even if you're really fast and you got your computer out and you're searching the market price really quick, which a lot of times you can't, you don't even have that amount of time. I don't know, it's still really easy to overpay. It's really easy to get emotional and you really want it and somebody else is bidding it up too much and then you overbid them to try to get it. So that is a big negative for sure. It can also be super addictive. Just this whole thing of like the convenience of sitting on the couch, popping open your phone and just being able to buy on stuff that you like, and it be quick and you be able to turn over quickly, be able to spend money quickly. It's kind of fun to spend money, whether we like it to admit it or not. We all like to spend money, I think. And so it can be very addictive, that spending. And so you got to be very careful about that. And then just a budget too. If you have a budget going in, it's easy to blow the budget because you're going so quickly and you're buying so quickly. And are you doing the math in your head, all that kind of stuff. All right. So with the negatives out there and the positives, what are some of my recommendations if you're wanting to use one of these live selling platforms? First of all, know what you want. I mean, really think about that. Know what you want in your collection. Know what singles you're trying to collect or slabs you're trying to collect. What's your priority? Like, create a list. Really like sit down and decide what you're going to prioritize collecting right now. If you're ripping packs, decide what sets you enjoy, what sets are worth. all that stuff. Know what you want before you go in and really stick to it. Don't just buy a bunch of other random stuff that you discover. Stick to buying the things that you actually want a part of your collection or that you actually want to rip for fun. Number 2, set aside money before you go on the platform. So however you do your budget, which by the way, that should be really number 2, is have a budget for this stuff and stick to it each month. And then make sure that you have the money and that you already have it set aside before you jump into one of these streams. Do not jump into one of these streams and just watch it for fun. I don't recommend that. If you are very disciplined, then you can be okay doing that. But it's very possible that just watching, you're going to feel like spending money, or you're going to be like, oh, that's cool, I want to buy that. So I would suggest making sure that you have the money set aside to actually spend on a live selling platform before you go on a live selling platform. And live selling platforms are not going to like me saying that because they want you to just go peruse and then hopefully buy. The next thing is track your spending as you go. So if I buy a $30 item on Whatnot, say, well, I'm also going to have to pay shipping. Maybe that's another like $4.50, and then I'm going to have to pay tax. So maybe altogether I'm like 37, 30, 38 or whatever is what I've spent. So I didn't really just spend 37, I spent more. So when you see that PayPal notification, I recommend pull open your notes app, start with your budget, start subtracting off what you spend on each auction. And by doing that too, you're going to basically force yourself to say, ooh, do I really want to bid on this thing? Because I only got this much money left. Like it's gonna make you more particular anyway. The next one is know the market price of the item before you go in. And I don't mean, well, okay, I should say the items that you want, right? So we talked about the first step that you should know what you want. So know what those market price of those value, of those items are, whether they're singles, or know what the pack price is. Now, sometimes you're going to pay a little bit more to buy from your seller on a live streaming platform, and maybe you're okay with that. But at least by knowing the market price, you won't grossly overpay, right? You're not going to like just blow your budget out of the water. Pay $70 for a $20 card. Or what I see a lot is people overbidding like things like EXs, like they're spending $2, $3, $4 on an EX that's worth 25 cents. It's just like, guys, come on, be careful. Like, know what you actually want, know what it's actually worth. The next thing I would say is do not go on the platform if you're in a mood. It's very easy. It's kind of like, and this is really getting into bad habits and addictions and things like that. But if you're depressed or you're down, it's a really scary time to be indulging in something that could trigger an addiction. It's very easy to let go and overspend on some things, or just buy too many things if you're depressed. It's really easy to go eat too much food, or just sit there with your tub of ice cream on the couch if you're depressed. So your triggers for when you're down. The things that you might struggle with indulging in too much if you're depressed. I would avoid on bad days going on these live selling platforms. I would just avoid it. I think it's going to be a really easy way for you to waste money. So just be careful. Try smaller sellers for deals. If you're looking for good deals, go try a smaller seller. You're going to have less competition if you're bidding on an item. They may even just be willing to sell you a buy it now item for actually a really fair price or under market price because they're trying to build up their clientele. Look for like legit sellers that are friendly, seem good to work with, and you can probably get some really good deals that way. Avoid gambling games, guys. Like, I would say this is a good rule. I wouldn't say it's a requirement. I would say sometimes if you know how to gamble in small amounts and you can keep it under control, that's fine. But for a lot of people, gambling can be a serious problem. I already feel like it's kind of a gamble anyway when you open packs. You don't know what you're going to get. You definitely need to be willing to accept the fact that you might get a small hit or no hit versus a large hit. Why add additional gambling? I'm just not a big fan of like the mystery packs or like the crazy spin the wheel or do this or that. I would just be very careful about that. I think there's ways to do it tastefully and fairly. And if you can control your gambling habit and, feel okay buying like a small amount of something, like, hey, if you buy some packs from me, you enter a buyer's giveaway and to win a free slab. Okay, that kind of stuff, whatever, that's fine. It's like you're buying something, you're gonna at least get it, and then maybe you get something else. Okay, it's fine. If you can keep that under control, you don't get too sucked in, then you're fine. But if you're gonna get sucked in and get addicted, then you need to avoid those sellers. You need to avoid those platforms probably. Don't be manipulated by sellers who are trying to suck you into FOMO. I see this all the time where it's like, this is a three-digit card, guys. Like, what are you doing? You need to bid this. Like, you need to bid more. Like, what are you guys doing? It's only, or they'll do stuff like, oh my gosh, this is only going for $40. I guess you guys just aren't ready for these big cards yet. Guess you just aren't ready tonight for them. I'm not going to drop the big stuff for you. Or like, guys, you don't want to miss out on this. These don't come off real. These are super rare. You should buy this tonight. It's like this pressure tactic sales thing. You need to be very careful about that. I don't personally like that. If I were you, I would avoid those sellers. I would go find somebody that's very low key, chill. It's going to be friendly, nice. That's not going to pressure you into buying something on the spot. And I think the last thing too is just walk away if it doesn't feel right. If the seller's soon doing something scummy or something feels questionable, walk away. And maybe more importantly is if you just feel kind of icky inside, like maybe your conscience is speaking to you about how you've been overspending lately, you've been on there too much, you're starting to feel addicted, like you just can't get off these live selling platforms, get off, walk away. Go take a break, walk outside, pray, walk your dog, go play an instrument, hang out with your kids if you got kids. I mean, just do something different, get away from it, take a break, go to the gym, whatever. Do something just to clear your head and walk away and try not to get sucked into that stuff. So, in summary, this is kind of a long video. I apologize, but there's kind of a lot to talk about and a lot to cover. There can be some major downsides to buying on live selling platforms, but there also can be some upsides. It can be a lot of fun. You can feel connected to a community. It can be more social. It can be a great way to see different angles of an item. You can support like a seller that you really connect with, or a content creator that you connect with. But it can also really quickly turn into a spending or gambling addiction. So you have to be very careful. So I just suggest, go in with a plan. Stick to it. And if you struggle to stick to your plan, then this is probably not a good place for you to buy stuff. Live selling is probably not a good platform. If you can't stick to that plan, you may need to go buy from other sources like eBay or TCG Player or whatever it may be. So anyway, those are my tips for you guys today. Hopefully that was useful content. Hopefully at least it just made you think about it differently. I would love to know if I missed something, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Please leave a like. Drop a comment down there, and I would love if you'd subscribe to my channel. I talk about a variety of different things, a lot of collecting stuff, a little bit of investing, some of these podcast style videos where I just kind of talk and you can listen and do something in the background, and then also other videos of more editing and more visuals and everything. So there's a variety for everyone, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for checking in. We'll talk to you later.